So, up to now you got a little bit familiar with the exam structure and everything. And let's continue with this listening. I don't know. Okay, so can you hear this?
You will hear a conversation between two flatmates.
Can you hear this one? I'm here, and did you read it? Perfect. You were listening to two-person flatmate. I don't know what was that. Did you hear it? Okay, so.
It's Craig and Don, who are looking for a third person to share their flat. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. In the exam, you would have 25 seconds to look at the questions. Pause the recording for 25 seconds now.
Okay, she said you will have 25 seconds to read question 1 to 5. Look, this is something that you will not hear exactly in the exam. Okay, but they will give you some time. And in last session, I told you in the last section of the IELTS, you will not have this reading opportunity, but you have the time. It will got some sort of pause, about 10 seconds, 13 seconds, and done. It will start to the rest of the listening. So be aware of this. In that, for example, let's say 13 seconds, in section 4, you have to read everything in the rest. So, did you read it? Teacher, I don't know, too health conscious, I don't know, because of equipment, I don't know, David, lawyer, older, quite done. If you have some reading ability, you have to read the rest until the, I don't know, 10. Where's 10? And here, until 10. You have to read everything. Because from 11, you will go for the second part. So let's continue.
Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Hi, Craig. Been home long?
Yeah, quite a time.
Did anyone phone about renting the spare room?
Yeah, we've had 3 phone calls about it.
Really?
Yeah. Do you want to hear about them?
Sure.
Right. The first one was called Phil Parrott.
Uh-huh.
He's a teacher. He's just qualified, and he teaches sports.
Okay.
Actually, I'm not sure about him. He certainly sounded energetic, but he asked lots of questions about whether we smoked and what sort of food we cooked.
Yeah. I mean, we don't exactly live on pizza and chips and takeaways. Well, not quite, but...
But he might be a bit too health conscious to really fit in with the sort of life we lead. Yeah. And he asked a lot of questions about the room. He said he needs a big room because he's got lots of sports equipment.
Well, that's okay. The room's quite big, but I'm not so sure about him. What about the second one?
He was called David Spencer.
Spender?
No, Spencer. C-E-R. He works at Cooper Long. You know, the big company on Broad Street. He said he was a lawyer.
Oh. I'd have thought in that case he'd be earning enough to rent his own place. I wonder why he wants to share a flat.
Well, he didn't say. He's quite a bit older than us. He did say he's just moved down here from the north of England. He seemed very quiet, actually. Maybe he wants to meet some new people. I got the impression he was a hard-working kind of person who doesn't go out all that much.
Right.
But he sounded okay. Oh, one thing, though. He said he wouldn't be staying in the flat at the weekends, so he wants to pay reduced costs for gas and electricity, because he's only here 5 days out of 7.
Oh, I'm not sure about that. What do you think?
Well, I suppose it's fair. but it all sounds a bit complicated.
Guys, did you understand what was the topic about? What was the topic about? Among all you five guys, what was the topic about? Write something. It was about two persons, okay, that they're trying to find a person who can share their home with. Okay, the first one wasn't sports, I don't know, let's say it manager, trainer, someone like this. The second one wasn't lawyer. Remember, in first section of the IELTS exam, you have two questions with these two direct, let's say, تقلب. Okay, the first one, you should write something about numbers. They will spell some numbers. 364, 524, 269. Absolutely, you will have this one. And the second one is about spelling the words. A2, and did you say it in this one? Spencer. He has spelled it. David Spencer. He has spelled it CEPNCR. Okay, so remember, in the first section of the IELTS exam listening, you have to listen carefully because two of the questions is about the spelling, and you are going to spell term by term to find out what was the whole word or whole number. Okay, one is Phil Parrott, a sports teacher. One is David Spencer, was a, I don't know, lawyer. And now let's go for the third one.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. In the exam, you would have 25 seconds to look at the questions. Pause the recording for 25 seconds now.
You have to read Leo Norris, 6, funny, lazy, not with something, other type somewhere to keep his. And then you have to write your answers here if you use this practice PTE online. If you use this practice PTE online, IELTS listening test number 18. If you use this website, you can write your answers here. But in question 9 and 10, Leo's phone number, remember it. Leo's phone number, now you have to write something as a number. You have to spell it number by number. And the Leo would like to move in on a date. Look, move in means I want to come here, I want to see, I want to start everything. Okay, so question number 9 and 10 are about numbers and dates. I don't know, 1st of June 1994. Okay, let's continue.
Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
Anyway, there was a third person, Leo Norris.
Yes?
He's an engineer,
Oh, yeah?
and he's about our age.
Right. What did he sound like?
Well, actually, he was really funny. I couldn't stop laughing when I was talking to him. He said he was very lazy and never got up until noon at weekends, and I said that wouldn't be a problem here.
No, certainly not.
But actually, I suspect he was joking when he said he was lazy. I think he lives life as it comes. He's certainly not competitive or stressed, but he likes cycling and things like that. He sounds like an outdoor type. Anyway, I thought he sounded as if he'd fit in. He wanted to check if there was somewhere safe for his bicycle. That's not a problem.
No, he can leave it in the garage with my car. So did you get his contact details?
Yes, he left his mobile number. It's 0777 687 2433.
And does he want to move in straight away?
Well, he's paid his rent in his present place up to the 31st of September, but he said that if possible, he'd like to move in a bit before then. He said the 28th of September.
And he was okay about the rent?
Yeah, he said it was fine.
Right. So shall we give him a ring and see if he wants to come round and...
Guys, everything was clear? They will talk a little bit about the third person. And they wrote down his phone number and the moving date. Done? Let's continue. In this pause, in this delay, you are allowed to write some answers from the questions to the answer sheet and be
Now
aware.
turn to Section 2. Section 2. You will hear a member of the Active Outdoor Club talking to a group of interested potential members. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14.
"11 to 14. You have to read these questions. Refreshment will be served.
Listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
I'd like to welcome you all to our Active Outdoor Club. I'll start by telling you a little bit about the history of the club and all that it can offer, and there will be a chance for you to ask questions over tea and coffee in the lobby afterwards. You'll also be able to pick up pamphlets from the table at the back of the hall, and if you wish to purchase any of our products, Bill will serve you at the front counter. As most of you probably know, the club was founded by Nick Noble about 30 years ago. He thought of placing an advertisement in the local newspaper or erecting a billboard somewhere, but it was the radio that he decided on to reach the most people. You know, other people who might be interested in outdoor pursuits. Just basic activities like walking or tramping. Anything active that could take place in some of the beautiful outdoor settings that this country has to offer. Nick was overwhelmed by the response he got, and the club soon grew from a dozen or so friends and enthusiasts to around 200 members 20 years ago, and steadily since then to reach a membership of over 2,500 now. You don't have to be a hardened athlete or extreme adventurer. On the contrary, it's a group that encourages friendship and fellowship through social and recreational activities. The club tries to cater for all levels of maturity and both genders. In fact, anyone who has the physical ability and a moderate level of health and fitness to participate in open-air activity on a regular basis. I think our youngest member is a 5-year-old boy, and our oldest member is a 75-year-old man. Of course, we have more challenging opportunities for those who are up to it, but all excursions are graded according to level of difficulty, and there will always be something for those families with small children. More about that later. I'm sure you realise that it's part of the focus of the club to ensure that our natural environment is kept as pristine as possible. We all have a keen interest in conservation, and many of our members contribute their time or give a monetary donation to organisations that work to enhance and beautify our natural heritage.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20.
Did you understand what was the topic about? اونجا نت که میتونیم برداریم. What do you mean? Net. What do you mean by that? Physical disability. Okay, but it was about a place. So, question 15 to 20. Filling this table and write it down here, but be aware, these things are nothing really important. Write everything in the table and try to read every section one section ahead. Try to be one section ahead. This is the key important point in listening. One section ahead. When you are trying to understand and answer section 1, you should read. You should read section 2. When you are in section 2, you should read section 3, and like this for the section 4. One section ahead. Try to be at least one section ahead. Let's continue. Here. Activity days during contact person. Something. Here's an assessment.
Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
Okay, now going back to the grades of activity, first of all, tramping. This is very popular with singles and couples without children, but is certainly not restricted to those groups. Tramping is arranged for Tuesdays and Saturdays throughout the year. Most tramps are of a duration of 3 to 5 hours, depending on the weather and the terrain, and of course the time of year. You would need to check the newsletter or the website to find out place and time, and if you wish to participate, phone the coordinator who can give you more information. I'll move on now to walking, which is very popular with families, but open to everyone. And walks are arranged for every Thursday and every Sunday over the course of the entire year. Walks last no more than 3 hours, although the Thursday walks might be shorter. And again, you would have to check the newsletter for details of the time and area to meet and get in touch with the walking organizer to confirm your participation. Now, the Wanderers are what you might call a subgroup of the Active Outdoor Club. This group was set up to cater for the less active, more elderly, or families with very young children who still want to enjoy the great outdoors, but without quite so much exertion. Bear in mind that the length of these activities is variable, but we're always home before dark. Any member of the club is welcome to join in their activities on a Sunday, which include visiting some of our more beautiful parks and botanical gardens, beach walks, picnics, and even boat trips to visit some of the small islands off the coast. Often guided tours can be arranged if there is enough interest. If you'd like to see what the Wanderers are up to, check the website and then phone the leader for more information. I'll bet you're all ready for that cup of tea now. But before I finish, I really must mention something that can be a lot of fun. A great opportunity to form new or strengthen existing friendships, and a chance to explore a part of the country that you may never have seen before. These are our mystery weekends. The committee puts a lot of time and effort into the organisation of these weekends away, not only for health and safety reasons, but also to ensure that everything runs smoothly and everyone has a good time. There will be a charge to cover travel and accommodation costs, but apart from that, it's an affordable and exciting weekend away from the city. For more information, call the chairman of the committee. You'll find his phone number in the newsletter. So, that's all I have to say at this point. Please enjoy the refreshments, chat with the others, and feel free to ask questions. All the committee members are wearing large red name badges, so they're easy to find.
That is the end of section 2.
How many questions did you got? let's say, were you able to follow the listening, follow the speaking of the person? A leader. What about the others? Follow up 15% is really good. Really good. Okay. Shall we continue? Okay. Question 21 to 26. Choose the correct letter A, B, or C. What is the main topic of the assignment? According to Emily, which new technology will become the biggest competition for television? According to the tutor, the average length of the television become? What part of library is going to be closed for 1 week? Which body do they decide to complain to? What will the reprographics office do? Huh? And 27 to 13. Remember, and be aware of these type of hints. No more than 3 words and or the numbers. Be aware of this, and also we have in section 1 as well, I guess, here. And also here. So be aware of these kind of hints. They try to give you some information that what you are going to hear.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
In this half a minute to check your answers, you are able to read even section 4. Why? Because you were answered everything directly to the answer sheet. Remember it.
Section 3. You will hear a tutor and some students talking about an assignment. Listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Come in. Sit down. Good to see you.
Hello.
Hello.
Now, this assignment. The best thing we can do, I think, is to think how we can approach it. The main point is to investigate television, but not what's happened in the past.
I was thinking that it would be necessary to go over the new media first and then...
Yes, that's a way to make a start, but you need to do that quite briefly.
But it's quite a complex topic.
Yeah, I agree, but the emphasis must be on the future development of television as a cultural phenomenon.
Yes. I've been reading the talk by Ashley Highfield.
All right, and what do you take from that? What are the things that are competing with television?
Well, to start with, there is the games console. Then there is the personal computer and the internet. Then again the mobile phone with its capability of games and puzzles. And of course internet access. Lastly, there is the iPod with the possibility of listening to music wherever you go.
Good, you've understood that. Now, which of these presents the greatest competition for television?
Well, according to the research, it's video games.
Yes, that's true at present, but in the future...
I think the phone will present the greatest threat then.
And why? Because it's mobile, portable, and it's developing fast. Yeah, I think you're right. You need always to look to the future and try to assess how things will develop, as we said. Good. Now, you need to move on to the new social trends in connection with television.
Is one of them the idea that programs might become shorter and shorter?
Ah, yes. The average program might be 10 minutes.
Or even less, just mini-programs, say 4 to 5 minutes long. Now, do you think you can get access to all the materials you need?
The problem at the moment is the library.
Oh yes, what's happening there?
There's a tremendous amount of noise because of the new extension they are building. It's quite impossible to work there.
They are stopping work for a week next week, I believe, and then all the sections will be open. There's a hold-up because some roof tiles have not arrived, so there'll be peace for that week.
But then after that, the media studies section will be closed for a week, and all the noise and dirt will start up again.
Yes, the sociology section will be open, and there's some good stuff there for you on this topic, and it's further away from the noise.
Yes, I don't think the sociology section is affected at all, and neither is the journal section.
No. Obviously, they're rotating the closures, and it was sociology's turn to close for a week last term.
I think we should make a complaint.
Yeah, I think you should.
I've had a word with the library staff. They are very sympathetic, but...
They are affected by these works just as we are.
If I were you, I'd make a complaint directly to the premises committee. They only meet once a year, but in fact, I know they're having a meeting next Tuesday. You might like to make contact with them, but don't say that I suggested this.
Yes. But the Students' Union might be better since they are independent of the university.
That's true, but I can't imagine that people haven't already approached them about this. Let's try the premises committee.
Good idea. Why not?
Okay.
Now, don't forget I need a copy of your dissertations by email and 2 copies in print, that is, on paper. If you give the reprographics office 24 hours notice, they'll make copies for you. And if you give them my details, they'll send those copies directly to me. They won't send copies to you, so you'll need to take your own copy personally from them. Good. Any questions?
Wait.
Now answer questions 27 to 30.
I will let...
One little thing was just that I wondered whether we should actually talk about that famous website. You know the one, YouTube.
I was rather hoping you hadn't overlooked that. Good point. It's mostly homemade videos. I suppose you could say that each video is a television version of a podcast. Anything else?
Yes, I've got a question, I'm afraid. I'm not completely clear about the exact meaning of culture, as we are using it in this subject.
Well, Mrs. Jones is giving a lecture on culture and society in the University Theatre. It's on Wednesday at 10 a.m, and you can learn all about it there, I'm sure.
Can you give us that again, please?
Yes, that's Culture and Society. It's in the University Theatre, and let me just check the time. Yes, here it is, 10 a.m. on Wednesday. She'll be giving a very thorough discussion of the issues in defining what culture means.
Right. That's good. The thing is, the reading list confused me a bit. One thing that occurred to me was that it might be broken down into subsections for future students.
Yes, that's a fair point. I'll bear that in mind. Now, don't forget, you need to do the reading and finish the assignment by the 4th of July. Is that okay?
Fine. Thank you very much.
Okay. Guys, something that you should understand that the IELTS exam is a simple exam. And for any exam, you have to practice. And the type of a practice that you have to follow is exactly like this. For the listening, you have to listen. Any listening type of IELTS format. In 4 section, you have your listening in 13 minutes, 15 minutes, 14 minutes. Yes, listening is 14 minutes. No, 13 minutes. All is 13 minutes. Okay, so 30 minutes. Every day you have to listen. No answer, no try to figure out what was the topic, the whole topic was about. No, not at all. In, for example, week 2 or week 3, you will get more information from the listening. So you will lose many listenings. And these 2 weeks listening should be from IELTS, for example, 1, Cambridge 1 to Cambridge 6, Cambridge 7. Okay, and the rest 7 to, let's say, 16, let's say Cambridge 7. When I said Cambridge, I mean this book. I mean this book. Each book, each Cambridge IELTS, I mean this one. Each book has 4 exams, and every day let me repeat it. Every day you have to listen at least 2 hours. I mean, 4 exam. Each exam 13 minutes. You have to listen 4 exam, no matter of what is the questions, no matter of what is the answers. Okay, just listen to be more familiar with the structure, with the keywords, with the template of the exam, and then start to be more examine and answer to everything. Okay, this is for the IELTS. You have many resources for IELTS listening. The IELTS Collins, this book, IELTS Collins, no, IELTS listening, IELTS Collins, this one, IELTS band 627, the books, no, 5.5 to 6.5. The book. What was the name of the book? Yes, Complete IELTS. Okay, Complete IELTS. So, Collins, Complete IELTS. And the thing that I want to start with you is the touchstone. Touchstone. Yes. Before every exam, you have to complete one book series. This is that I'm planning the time, I'm planning that schedule to fulfill all these 4 books. I will prepare a evaluation test, okay? And after that, I will let's say it no evaluation. Let's say it how much English do you know? And then we will start from book 1, maybe 2, maybe 2. 2, 3, 4, and then IELTS band score 5.5, and then go continue. Okay. Meanwhile, that I am completing these books for you, you have to read, listen these 16 books as much as you can, exactly like what God said. Okay? به جای اینکه چندین کتاب بخوانید، کتاب‌های God را چندین بار بخوانید. Okay? So, this is our plan for your exam. Did you understand it? Exactly. Yes. Yes. Cambridge. هر روز. Every day. Exactly. Every day, 2 hours just listening. Every day, 1 hour just reading. Reading. This reading time should be divided. Should be divided into 2. 13 minutes. Cool. Cool. That is really nice. That is really nice. I mean, that you complete top notch. Now start submit. No. No. No submit. No top notch has submit. And Touchstone has point of view. These 2 books, Summit, guys, remember me. If you start Touchstone, the 2 books above Touchstone are point of view, viewpoint, point of view. English. Yes, viewpoint, these 2. These 2 are 2 books above the Touchstone 4. And if you go for top notch English, English book, and if you go for top notch, okay, if you go for top notch, there is a book called Summit, as Amin said, Summit. is some book called Summit. The reason that I don't, I mean, it's up to you if you want, if you have time for your apply. If you have time, go ahead for it. The reason that I don't want you to go for Summit or Biopoints books is that there are a little too advancing for exam. I don't want you to be a native speaker. No, there is no reason for you to be a native speaker. Because there is some push time that you have to push yourself for the GRE. And at that time, maybe I will ask you to just read and skim these two books, Summit or PowerPoint, just for the words, not for the grammar. Because the amount of you need from the grammar, the capacity, yeah, the amount of you need for the grammar are completely come from these the series, I don't know, Touchstone or Top Notch, but the rest, the more you read about the, for example, Summit or Point of View Point, are too heavy, simply too heavy, and not necessary, for the exam. Okay, so if you have time, go ahead for it. It will be good for your GRE verbal. But the GRE verbal, maybe we will have a section for the GRE as well. If you agree, we can have a section for the GRE. But the GRE words are completely far from these books. GRE, IELTS, I don't know, TOEFL, everything. You never heard about them at all. So not go for the Summit. If you have them, go ahead. But to be in nutshell, to complete this one, do not go for the Summit or Biopoint. Go for the, for example, IELTS complete, complete IELTS, for example, 5.5, 6.5, or 6.5, 7. Or if you have time, you can recap everything from IELTS Collins exams, and then come to the Cambridge. Okay. Yes, vocabulary are important, especially if you want to apply for the, let's say it, apply for the GRE and you need GRE. So be aware of your vocabulary. Vocabulary is important, and in your vocabulary, we have some books for the vocabulary for IELTS, okay, and some vocabulary pamphlet PDFs that you can find easily on the internet. Okay, so 2 hours of the listening, 1 hour for the reading, 30 minutes for the writing, reading some writing from other persons in your wish band score 7.5. Read writings, okay, read the other person's writings, okay, and 30-minute writing the passages for the 12 type of questions in reading section. Okay, so this is for reading, this is for writing, that was for the listening. And come back 1 hour or 1 hour and a half, just listen to speakings of your wish band score. You got me, right? I mean, did you got me? Aida Rabi Nejad, did you got me? Did you understand what I was? What I said? Okay, so with this kind of a plan, you will have 6 hours to prepare yourself for the exam. The rest of the time in every day, be aware if you are going to take the IELTS, I don't know, in June. No, we are in June. We are not in June. 22 of May. In July, in August, you have to push it up to 13 hours. 6 hour reading, writing, understanding like this. Okay. And 7 hours 7 hours completing those type of books. I don't know. Touchstone, I don't know. Eh, and why I'm saying that, because completing those type of books, series completion, is will give you some kind of confidence that yes, I complete a book series, and this is your sword, this is your, I don't know, let's say, camouflage power. قدرت شما تو استتار. It's something, with it's something really tolerated. Let's say it, all the Iranian students got about 6.5 to, for example, 7.5. Okay, but this is not about your Iranian competitors. It's about all the competitors for the desired position that you are trying to get. It's kind of a fight, but not with Iranians, with Indians, with Chinese, with maybe Europeans. Okay, this is kind of a fight, and you have to have everything. If you are agree, we can complete we can complete all the books. There is no need, there is no necessarily to know what is the background of them. Absolutely, the Indians have much background in English than us, than Iranian, than Chinese. Okay, but when it's talk about when it's about the score, the score is talking. Your mark is talking. Even if you cheat all everything, you pass, you done. If you have many power in English and you have a variety of vocabularies that you know, but you cannot write it down on your paper, you lose the position, you lose everything. Here there is no background talking. Here the mark is talking. Your score is talking. Okay? If you are ready for a completing exam, we can fulfill 4 books of Touchstone. I mean, it's not about you, I'm sorry. It's about the other guys. We can fulfill all 4 books of Touchstone in 3 days. Each day we will go about, let's say it, 8 hours. Okay, so in 20 hours we will complete the Touchstone. Where is it? Where is it? If you are agreed, talk with your, I don't know, supervisor, talk with your, I don't know, advisor, I don't know, any kind of a person that helps you, cheer you up, I don't know, talk, and then come back to me. We will complete these 4 books in 20 hours, 24 hours. Okay? And the reason that I'm asking you to take the IELTS is exactly because you will hear different type of accents to be able to compete. Because most of the professors that ask for students that we need some kind of a student worker, okay, most of them mainly are Chinese, maybe are Indians or Iranian. Okay, so they are immigrants. And when we are talking about immigrants, we are talking about different accents. So IELTS is better than the TOEFL. That's all. And you know that the whole exam the whole exam IELTS is evaluated and marked by computers. So there is no difference between my accent and the persons from India. Okay, the computer can understand different accents simply, and there is no accent. Remember, it's the formal English that we are talking, that we are speaking, and in formal English they are following some rules to find the words that, for example, in speaking. Three times, yes, yes, exactly. The first one is marked by the person that is in front of you, but the third, the second and the third are evaluated IDP, something like this. IDP, it's in Australia for Asia, and British Council for the persons for the applicants in Europe and Africa. So be aware of this. It's not about the exact accent, intonation. It's about rising and falling. It's about cohesion and coherence. It's about your lexical resource, and it's about your little bit of grammar. So these things all together, okay, these things all together got your mark. And when you have your mark for upper score 7, for above 7 in speaking, for above 7 in speaking, you have to use some what advanced terms. Okay, it's not advanced grammar. Okay, it's not advanced grammar, it's about advanced grammar. And because of this advanced words, phrases, and because of this, most of European students, because they know more words than us, okay, they got better mark in speaking. Let's listen to in speaking. Shall we continue on this part 7, part 4, or let's go for the speaking? Speaking or part 4 of listening? Speaking. Let's go for the speaking. Okay.
From here starts the speaking test. This is the speaking test of the International English Language Testing System taking place in Ross IELTS Academy.
Can you hear it?
The candidate is Eva Mainush, candidate number 0143252. The examiner is Mehnush Hafi, examiner number 443533. Good afternoon, my name is Mehnush Hafi. Would you please tell me your full name?
Good afternoon, my full name is Eva Mainush.
What can I call you?
Just Eva.
Can I see your identification, please?
Of course.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We can now get started with the first part of the exam. In the first part, I will ask you some personal questions. First, let's talk about studying.
What just happened? I just got out, sorry.
Do you study English now?
I don't study English as a foreign language or to become a teacher. However, English is part of my program because I'm in a Master of Inter-American Studies.
And if you could change to another language, what would it be?
That would be Spanish because, as I said, my program is in Inter-American Studies and it actually involves English and Spanish.
Which one do you think is more important, research or teaching?
Guys, can you hear me? Can you hear the voices? They're speaking? Everything's clear?
It is a very difficult question, but because I think both are very important. However, if I had to choose one, I would probably say it's teaching because what good is all the research we are doing if we don't teach it to other people, if we don't pass it on to the younger generation, for example?
Now let's move on to talk about toys. What was your favorite toy in childhood?
Oof, I'm not sure if I had like one favorite toy, but my siblings and I, we played a lot with little animal figurines we had at home, and we used to take them to all parts of the house and garden, and my parents would probably say that those were like the favorite toys of my brother, my sister and I.
So should parents buy many toys for their children?
I don't think it's very important that it's many.
Hey, Baba.
It's more important that you can get attached to these toys and that you can use them more than once and not just these disposable toys that you throw in the garbage after one use.
What are the benefits of children playing toys?
I would say there are several benefits because, for example, if it's a toy that you can share, children can learn how to share things and how to interact with other children, also other adults. And also there are toys that can foster the creativity and imagination, and that's really nice if you can do it in a playful way.
Now let's move on to talk about reading. Do you like reading?
I love reading. My bachelor degree was in literary and cultural studies actually, so I do read a lot and I really enjoy doing it.
And do you read electric books?
I have read electric books, but it's not really my cup of tea, so to say, because I really like to be able to put my hands on the books and smell them, and then after I read them, put them on the shelf and have a look at them when I walk past.
And what was your favorite book as a child?
That would probably be Harry Potter, and I still really like that book because it was the one book that really got me into reading, because I started reading it when we were on vacation with my family, and that was the point from when I always took a book, and my parents always found me in bed at night reading.
Now let's move on to the second part of the exam. In the second part, I will give you a card with a topic, and you will have to talk about this topic for 2 minutes.
Okay.
But before you do so, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can make some notes to help you if you wish. Do you understand?
Yes, perfect.
Good. Now I'm giving you the cue card and the paper and a pen, and you should describe the time when you first talked in a foreign language.
Okay.
So here we go. Now you have 1 minute to think about this topic, and it starts now.
Describe the time when you first talk in a foreign language. You should say what language it was, with whom you speak, what you said, and explain how you felt about the conversation. It is a question about the past, so you have to understand and use past tense. Okay, everyone is following. Write something for me here. All of you are following? Yes, cool. Cool. Where's Farhad? Hamid Farhad. Shall I continue? Of course, if you are agreed to continue and complete the 4 books in 24 hours, remember, we will not go for the workbook. Each of these books have a book for, I don't know, student book, 1 book for, I don't know, workbook, the books that are in black and white, if you have any experience in English classes. If you are allowed, and if you let me to complete these 4 books all together in 24 hours, We will not use this Sky Room. I guess it's too, let's say laggy. Let's say I don't know, but we will go in Skype maybe Google Meet, maybe somewhere else. But let's have a agreed session, and then we will go for the environment. But let's continue. Okay, so I feel like that Aida has complete American English file. Amin has complete the top notch. Farhat, have you complete? Hamid, have you complete something? I'm not connected at all. Oh fuck! Not camera. This one. Sorry guys, I have to leave and come back. I don't know. You cannot hear me. What is bullshit? I don't know. Guys, can you hear me? Okay, now can you hear me? Hamid, have you complete something? Okay, I will ask on the group. I will ask on the group. Maybe with Hamid and some other students, we will complete a series of book like American English File or Top Notch, and then we will come back and complete IELTS complete first. IELTS complete 5.5, 6.5, and then start completing everything. Okay, so let's continue. Your screen. I hope we will not get disconnected. Please continue. My voice is not.
Now your 1 minute is over, and you may talk
Did you listen it?
about this topic for 2 minutes, but do not worry if I stop you. So you can start talking now.
Did you listen it? Did you understand it?
Okay, so the first time
Oh, sorry.
Open English, İngilizce öğrenmeniz için ya da İngilizcenizi geliştirebilmeniz için tasarlanmış online bir
spoke a foreign language outside the classroom, there would have been on vacation in Spain, but it was English actually, because that was, I think, in year 2 or 3, so I was still quite little, and me and my family, we wanted to visit a canyon to do a hike there, but it had limited access for tourists, so there was also a limited amount of a number of tourists you could visit every day. And that day when we went, it was already, like, they had already approached the maximum number of tourists. So my mom didn't really speak English, or she didn't want to, so my sister and I, we went and we asked to make a reservation for the following day, and we explained that it would be the 4 of us, and so the woman understood us very well, and I felt very proud of myself and my sister as well, because we were quite little still, but we felt a bit like grown-ups in this moment, and very proud also to be able to help my parents, because usually, I mean, at this age, it's the other way around, right? The parents help the children, but in this case, we were able to, well, talk to the woman at the entrance and explain what we wanted to do. And yeah, and she understood us, and she also was very sweet to us, and she also said that we did very well, that she was impressed how well we could speak English, even though we were that little. And then, yeah, actually the next day we went back, and we also, again, I approached the person at the entrance, it was a different one, and said that we had made a reservation the previous day, and then we would like to visit the canyon now, and it was no problem. So I was very glad about that.
Thank you very much. Now your 2 minutes over. So please hand me back the papers.
Yes, of course.
And thank you from hand, yes.
Okay. Did you hear what she said? How much did you understand? Give me some percent. Please, some higher percent. You know why? Because آیا روی نجات 100%؟ Cool. Perfect. We are on a good road. Good road. Perfect. Perfect. Well done.
So can now move on to the third part of the exam.
Yes.
In the second part, you describe the time when you first talked in a foreign language. And in the third part, I want to ask you some questions related to this topic.
Yes.
Why do people want to learn a foreign language?
I think that depends a bit on the person, but probably the most common motivation is to be able to talk to people from other countries who have a different cultural background, who speak a different language, because I think that being able to speak a foreign language really opens doors to you, because even if you go to a different country, if you don't speak the language, people are less willing to share information with you, and if you do approach the people in their own language, they are usually very glad to help you out and to explain more.
So what is the best way to learn a foreign language? Through reading, through writing, or through speaking?
For me personally, it's listening and speaking and just kind of trial and error. But I do think that depends a lot on the person and their personality, because I think an introvert person would probably rather study at home and read and write and study maybe the grammar rather than approach a different person directly and practice their speaking skills.
Now let's talk a bit about children. Is it important to teach children foreign languages when they are little?
I think it can be very helpful, because if they're younger, they naturally learn easier and faster, and you can just teach them a different language in a playful way so that they get used to it from an early age. And
So
they
do
will
you think
benefit.
that children learn a foreign language faster than adults?
Yes, I do think so. However, I do also think that it depends on the motivation, because a child that learns, for example, English in school but doesn't really want to learn it only because it's part of the curriculum will probably not learn it faster than an adult who's really interested in learning it because they want to move abroad and need it for their job or also their
So
studies.
at what age do you think that children should start learning a foreign language?
Probably the younger the better, but I think if I had to put an age, I would say when they enter school, because this is also when they have to get used to having this routine of studying and have a schedule for the day.
And how about the minority languages? Do you think that they will disappear one day?
Unfortunately, I think they will disappear unless we support the use and the teaching of it. So I think there are a lot of programs actually who are which are working on this, like people who are dedicated on spreading the use of it or also teaching it to the next generation.
Thank you very much. This is the end of the speaking test.
Nice.
Now, yes. Now I just need 2 minutes to add up your score in different criteria, and then I will give you the feedback and your overall band score, okay?
Okay,
Good.
thank you.
Hello everybody! Do you want to know what band score you will get in your IELTS writing? Do you also need to know how to improve your writing skills for the real test? We've got the solution for you in Ross IELTS Academy. Send us your writings. We'll check them out thoroughly in less than 36 hours. You'll get the band score along with comprehensive feedback in both written and video formats. It's your time to become our next successful candidates.
Okay, Eva, now let's see what you did. So we can get started with the first criteria. I give you the details of what you're expected to do based on that and what you did, your own performance, and then we can talk about your overall band score.
Okay.
So, to talk about your fluency and coherence, I can say that it was a very good performance because you were quite fluent when you were talking to me. And the very good thing is that you were speaking very naturally. You were not trying to use memorized language or remember the things that you planned to say or to talk about in different topics. It was all very natural. And other than that, you had some hesitations, but very natural hesitations, because you can pause when you don't remember the language, the vocabulary, the grammar, and that is not a good thing in your fluency and coherence. But your pauses were all content related, like you were pausing because you were thinking of the next idea. And of course, you didn't have many pauses. It was just a few pauses, natural ones. Besides, I can talk about your topic development. In part one, you were to give me some short answers. In part two, to cover your 2 minutes and to talk about all the bullet points. And in part three, some longer answers. And you did so. How you explained and how you covered your ideas. You said something, then you gave me more explanations and examples to just support what you had said. So it was a really good one here. And the last thing regarding your fluency and coherence is how you used different discourse markers and connectives to just go on like with different parts or different topics. For example, you use the word however, also, even though, rather than, so that, unless, and it was all used in the correct place, in the correct sentence. So being error-free is something that really matters in IELTS, speaking that, of course, you were error-free. And some discourse marker, so to say, actually.
This is Dave. He's trying to learn a language the traditional way. But they only teach him boring grammar and phrases he would never use.
And other words well. So yes, it was really good. I really liked your fluency and coherence, talking about the, based on the band descriptors. And now to talk about the next criteria, your lexical resource, your vocabulary. In your lexical resource, some things matter. The first one is how you used a range of words, vocabulary. I could hear some collocations, idiomatic vocabulary, and you were just using them all very flexibly. And besides the use of boosters and fillers, you didn't give me the answer.
Guys, these are the feedbacks to this person. And did you follow everything? Because we do not have time, I just want to read one reading maybe. Do you want to listen to the rest of it? Or shall we go for reading? Oh my God. Here. The rest of this list speaking, these are the feedbacks that the examiner is giving to this woman, or reading. Okay, let's go for the reading. That was really pleasant for me, that I don't understand everything. Perfect. Come on. Let's go for one reading. I guess I had some readings in this drive. Drive reading test. This one. Oh, oof, this one is complete. Okay, reading. Okay. Why we need to protect polar bears? Okay, polar bears. خرسای قطب شمالی و جنوبی. خرس قطبی مثلا. Okay. Polar bears are being increasingly threatened by the effects of climate change. But in reading passage یک but their disappearance could have far-reaching consequences. They are uniquely adapted to the extreme conditions of the Arctic Circle, where temperature can reach minus 40 degrees Celsius. One reason for this is that they have up to 11 centimeter of fat underneath their skin. Human with comparative levels of adipose tissue would be considered obese and would be likely to suffer from diabetes and heart disease. Yet, the polar bears experience no such consequences. How many? Okay. In 2014, a study by Xiping Liu and colleagues sheds light on their mystery. They compared the genetic structure of polar bears with that with that of their closest relatives from a warmer climate, the brown bears. This allowed them to determine the genes that have allowed polar bears to survive in one of the toughest environments on the Earth. Liu and his colleagues found the polar bears. Should I? Time is over. I completely agree with. Okay. Should I zoom it a little bit? Maybe like this one. Polar bears and had a gene known as APOB, which reduced level of the low density lipoproteins. Wow. LDL is a form of bad cholesterol. In humans, mutations of this gene are associated with increased risk of heart disease. Polar bears may therefore be an important study model to understand heart disease in humans. Okay, did you follow what is the topic of this reading? It's about polar bears and how we should and why we should try to save them. And what is their big difference between this type uh, of polar bears and brown bears. Okay. The genome of the polar bears may also provide the solution for another condition, one that particularly affects our older generation, osteoporosis. I don't know. This is a disease where bones show reduced density, usually caused by insufficient exercise, reduced calcium intake, or food starvation. Bone tissue is constantly being remodeled, meaning that bone is added or removed depending on nutrient availability and the stress that the bone is under. Female polar bears, however, undergo extreme conditions during every pregnancy. Once autumn comes around, these females will dig maternity dens in the snow and will remain there throughout the winter, both before and after the birth of their cubes. This process results in about 6 months of fasting, where the female bears have to keep themselves and their cubs alive, depleting their own calcium and calories reserve. Despite this, their bones remain strong and dense. پس میگه آقا داستان اینه که polar bears I don't know have something in their bones and no people doesn't have something that they have, and even female polar bears would go under the extreme conditions during every pregnancy. They keep themselves and their cubs alive, depleting their own calcium and calories reserves. با کلسیوم و کالری رزروشون حفظ میکنن. Physiologist Alanda Lennox and Alan Goodship found an explanation for this paradox in 2008. They discovered that the pregnant bears were able to increase the density of their bones before they started to build their dens. So maybe you will have some question about this paragraph, And the key point is this second sentence. They discovered their dens. In addition, 6 months later, when they finally emerged from the den with their cubs, there were no evidence of significant loss of bone density. Hibernating brown bears do not have this capacity. Which capacity? This one. In addition, 6 months later, no evidence of significant loss, and must therefore resort to major bone reformation in the following spring. Did you follow? Of children. Yes, exactly. Children. It means little Ali, little bears. Exactly. Very hibernating if spring. If the mechanism of bone remodeling in polar bears can be understood, many bedridden humans and even astronauts could potentially benefit. Astronauts could be potentially benefit. Astronauts. Okay. Someone read this one. The medical benefits. Who wants to read? Bang, bang, bang. Who wants to read? No one. Sorry. Oida. No one. Okay, let's continue. How many lines do we still have? Oh. Okay. The medical benefits of polar bears for humanity certainly have their importance in our conservation efforts, but these should not be the only factors taken into consideration. We tend to want to protect animals and we think are intelligent and possess emotions, such as elephants and primates. Bears, on the other hand, seems to be perceived as stupid and in many cases violent. And yet, anecdotal, what does it mean? What does the meaning of anecdote? Someone told me, what does the meaning of anecdote? Here is the term, anecdotal. What does the meaning of anecdote? Who are you? Oh gosh. Google it. At least Google it. You're not in the class. Traditional. Cool. Evidence from the field challenges those assumptions, suggesting, for example, that polar bears have good problem-solving abilities. A male bear called Gogo in Tennoji-Zoo, Osaka, has even been observed making use of a tool to manipulate his environment. The bear used a tree branch on multiple occasions to dislodge, dislodge a piece of meat hang out of his reach. Problem solving ability has also been witnessed in wild polar bears, although not as obviously as with Gogo. Something that you can use in your writing. this phrase, although not as obviously as. Okay, you can use although not as obviously as in your writing. This is a phrase that you can use as a conjugator. A calculated move by a male bear involved running and jumping onto the barrels in an attempt to get a photographer standing on a platform 4 meters height. In other studies, such as one by Alison Ames in 2018, this is something that you can use in your writing. In your writing, you can use facts, scientific facts, and you have to completely made it up. You have to made up some scientific fact, and this phrase on the other studies, such as one by Fulan, uh, this is the key starting for this kind of example. Polar bears showed deliberate and focused manipulation. For example, Ames observed Ames bears putting objects in piles and then knocking them over in what appeared to be a game. The study demonstrate. What does the meaning of demonstrate? What does the meaning of demonstrate? Demonstrate means show, means illustrate, means uh, figure out, find out. Exactly. The study demonstrate that bears are capable for agile and thought out behaviors. These examples suggest bears have greater creativity and problem solving abilities than previously thought. As for emotions, while the evidence is once again anecdotal, many bears have been seen to hit out at ice and snow, seemingly out of frustration when they have just missed out on a kill. Moreover, polar bears can form unusual relationships with other species, including playing with the dogs used to put cells in the Arctic. Remarkably, remarkably, something that you can use in your writing as well. One hand-raised polar bear called Aggie, has formed a close relationship with her owner Mark Domas, to the point where they even swim together. This is even more astonishing since polar bears are known to actively hunt humans in the wild. This is even more astonishing since you can use this one as well in your writing. Astonishing means something really fascinating, really amazing. If climate change were to lead to their extinction, this would mean not only the loss of potential breakthroughs in human medicine, but more importantly, the disappearance of an intelligent, majestic animal. Okay, read one. Oh no, we finished the reading. I'm really sorry. We finished the reading of this passage. If you want, you can read. You can read the second one. Either do you want to read the second one? Okay, let's finish here if you are agreed. Okay, either if you want to read the second one, it would be perfect. Hamid, you want to leave? Hamid, do you want to leave? Okay, let's go, Hamid. Bye. And I don't. Let's start reading. Where is this one? The step of pyramid of Djoser. Maybe Djoser. Just a 3 paragraph as a practice, please. You are connected, I guess. But I turn your microphone on. I don't know why we should use a Skyrim. It's too laggy. But anyway. Oh,
you read me?
Yes, exactly. I can hear you. Yes, perfect. Let's go. The step of pyramid of the Djoser, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
The pyramids are the most famous monuments of ancient Egypt and still hold enormous interest for people in the present day. These grand, impressive tributes to the memory of the Egyptian kings have become linked with the country even though other cultures such as the Chinese and Mayan also built pyramids. The evolution of the pyramid from has been written and argued about for four centuries. However, there is no question that as far as Egypt is concerned, it began with one monument to one king designed by one brilliant architect, the Step Pyramid of Djoser at Saqqara. Djoser was the first king of the third. Do you wish me to continue?
Yes, just 1 paragraph and then done.
Djoser was the first king of the third dynasty of Egypt and the first to build on stone. Prior to Djoser's reign, tombs were rectangular monuments made of dried clay brick, which covered underground passages where the deceased person was buried. For reasons which remain unclear, Djoser's main official, whose name was Imhotep, conceived of building a taller, more impressive tomb for his king by stacking stone slabs on top of one another, progressively making them smaller to form the shape now known as the Step Pyramid. Djoser is thought to have reigned for 19 years, but some historians and scholars attribute a much longer time for his rule, owing to the number and size of the monuments he built.
Perfect. Really astonishing. Really nice. Perfect. I hope you got I don't know, more than 7 in your IELTS. You read really perfect. I mean, and understand you can write really perfect in your writing skills, and everything I guess with IDA is perfect. Be aware that you have to read. Yeah, very good. That we have to go in that way, that we should read with good intonation, rising and falling, and with good speed, and then we can pass exam easily. Okay, for this we can finish, if you agree. We can finish tonight, and you're welcome. You absolutely, you don't need our comments. You are really perfect, and wish you all the best. And see you on, I don't know, Thursday, Friday, I don't know. And we will continue by deep learning. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much for your time, and see you soon. Bye bye.